Hi everyone, thanks for coming back for part two. I just wanted to clarify that in my last video when I was talking about what the Mount of Olives represents and how I believe it represents the restoration of the temple, I just wanted to clarify that I do believe that it will actually happen literally as well. There's going to be a physical splitting of the Mount of Olives and a physical event that's going to take place in Israel, but I also believe that there's a spiritual representation that's being described as well, and that's what I had come to discover just before seeing Natan's video. I had discovered what was actually going to take place with the Mount of Olives. I had come to realize that it's not just going to be an earthquake, which is what even the rabbi was asking. He was saying, what's it going to be like? Is it like an earthquake? Is it atomic or what? So that just goes to show that even the rabbi had not come to understand exactly what was going to take place with the Mount of Olives and what it represented. And I know that this is not something that they teach. I've never heard anyone else teach this ever before. What I had come to realize and understand what God was going to do in the final Exodus, in the last days. I just, this is a parallel to the first Exodus, and I had just come to the realization of what was going to take place, and then Natan's testimony was confirmation of what I had come to figure out. So that's why I believe his testimony is true. And one of the reasons that people have a hard time understanding the timing of the rapture is, for one, is because of false teachings about what's going to take place. They teach that there's a rapture and then a second coming, when they're really both the same thing. And the tribulation is only 3.5 years. It's not 7. But the rapture takes place in the beginning of the 3.5 year period, not at the end. And I just want to show you something that I had discovered years ago, and it's over here where it talks about the abomination of desolation. It says, when you see the abomination of desolation standing, okay, that would be this word right here. Let me try this and see what comes up. Okay, when you put in the word standing, which is this word right here, you see the word stand, it comes in all these different inflections. That's how many different ways there are to say stand in the Greek. All these different ways. And the way that it's written in Mark 13:14 is with this inflection right here. This inflection right here. And as you can see, it's actually the same inflection that's used in Matthew. So actually in Mark, it's actually a little bit different. Okay, I'm sorry. I just was trying to figure out why it wasn't showing Mark over here and just Matthew 24:15. But that's because this is using the GNT, which is a different version of the Greek text than the Textus Receptus, which is over here. And so, but in any case, it would have both of those. It would have both Mark and Matthew over here if it was using the Textus Receptus. And this is the one time that it's used in this format right here. And as you can see, it's used these 2 times. Once in regard to the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place, and then the other time that same exact form of the word stand is used is in Revelation 14. It says, and I saw and behold the Lamb which stood on Mount Zion, with him 144,000 having his name and the name of his Father written on their foreheads. Okay, so you have Jesus standing on the holy place at the same time that you have the abomination standing on the holy place. So there's a parallel between the holy place, the physical holy place, which is Jerusalem, and the spiritual holy place, which is Mount Zion. And this is the same thing that Natan said in his testimony. He said that the war and everything was going to take place in Jerusalem, but the redemption was going to take place there as well. And so this is the main reason why people can't understand the timing of the rapture. It's because they don't realize that there's two parallel things going on at the same time. There's a parallel earth, like in Isaiah 14 when it talks about the earth being at rest. Well, how can the earth be at rest when the tribulation is going on? It's because there's a parallel earth. There's a parallel Mount Zion. There's a parallel Jerusalem. So that's why there's so much confusion about the timing of the rapture. So I just wanted to explain that first, and now I'll get back to the table. And let's see. Okay, here are all the terms that I have to go over. And like I had said before, it's really not important, the terms. The terms are not what's important. What's important is the matrix that this word comes up in. That pretty much says it all. The terms are just added reinforcement, and that's usually the case in most tables. What's important is the matrix and what's being stated in the matrix, just like you saw in the case of America. All the other terms, they were like added reinforcement, but what was important was what was in the matrix. And the same is the case with this one as well. And so I'm just going to read the matrix, and actually, well, I'll go over the terms as well later, but I'm going to read the matrix next. And the reason I wrote matrix down here is because it's in this particular one where you can get the most of the matrix to come up, so I can read it in its entirety. So I'm going to pull that up, and I'm going to read the matrix in just a second. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to get some water. My mouth was getting really dry. But this is a matrix that I was going to read, and like I said, this is the one, it's actually the scaled down one that brings up the most of the matrix for some reason. But another reason why I came up with this scaled down version is because if you look at some of the other ones, like this one right here, where I had encoded the words God and Son, I was able to see that it had the word Son going this way. You can see it in the bluish purple, and then in the lavender you have the word God crossing through it, so it looks like a cross. But I was trying to isolate that so that it doesn't get chopped off. I was trying to get it all on one page, and that's why I came up with this version of it. But in this, when I did it this way, it highlighted this word for God up here instead of the one down here. But as you can see, if you highlight the one down here, you can see that it makes a cross. So if this God was highlighted instead of the one up there in the corner, it would have made a cross with God and then the Son. So that's what I was trying to do, and that's how I came up with this particular matrix. And as it turned out, this is the one that had the most of the matrix in it. So I'm going to go ahead and read this matrix. And as you can see, it's coming up in the book of Psalms 46, starting from verse 4, and it's going through 47, verse 9. And what I want you to notice as I read the matrix is that it starts to sound something like what Obama had read on 9/11, And I was actually just watching this video, and I paused it. This as much as I've seen of this video, but I knew I was going to have to talk about that, and I figured since I had the picture up and I knew I was going to have to refer to the picture, I just paused it there so that I could show that picture. But if you recall that day that Jonathan Kleck is talking about in this video, you'll recognize the text that this comes up in. And remember, this is the faults, the Twin Towers and the One World Freedom Towers. This is the false restoration of the DNA. This is actually the ultimate corruption of the DNA is what they're attempting here. But there's also the restoration of the DNA, the true 46 chromosomes that will be restored, and that's what's being described here. So I'll go ahead and read the matrix. Okay, it says, Jehovah of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Wait, am I reading? I'm sorry, I think I'm reading the wrong one. Sorry about that. Okay, this is the one that has the most. Okay, there is a river, the streams whereof make glad the city of God, that would be Jerusalem, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. We just talked about the holy place. There's going to be the abomination on the holy place, and then there's going to be the Lamb on Mount Zion. So I'll read this again. There is a river, the streams whereof make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. So God is in the midst, just like in Zechariah 3 and in Revelation 1, where Jesus is in the midst of the 7 candlesticks. God is in the midst of her, New Jerusalem, the restored temple, the 7 candlesticks. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her, and that right early. The nations raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. Jehovah of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Come, behold the works of Jehovah, what desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow, and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariots in the fire. Be still, and know that I am God. That's what Moses said in the Exodus. He said, be still and to see the hand of God. He told them to be still in the first Exodus. And over here it's saying, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Jehovah of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Okay, this is just saying that it's Psalm 47. For the chief musician, a psalm of the sons of Korah. O clap your hands, all ye peoples. Shout unto God with the voice of triumph. For Jehovah Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. He subdueth peoples under us, and nations under our feet. He chooseth our inheritance for us, the glory of Jacob, whom he loved. God is gone up with a shout, Jehovah with the sound of a trumpet. Sing praise to God, sing praises unto our King, sing praises. For God is the King of all the earth. Sing ye praises with understanding. God reigneth over the nations. God sitteth upon his holy throne. And I'm about out of time, so I'm going to have to continue this in the next video, but it's very important to continue it. So I'll do that in the next video. Thanks.